What does it feel like to be more spiritually connected? That's what we're going to talk about on the video today. Being connected to spirituality, it's not about being able to control the thoughts and not thinking in that way anymore. It's a sense of inner peace, of connectedness with who you are at your core. And how does one reach an enlightened state? Being enlightened is somebody that allows the mind to just be. Somebody on the road to enlightenment is someone who has trouble dealing with the mind. It's a person who is doing a lot of the inner work, but it's not there yet. You're on the road to enlightenment. It's a very difficult state to reach. When you become the observer of the program that the mind is creating, you can allow it to be there and not identify with it anymore. Because the ego self, the ego mind, wants us to feel those things. It wants us to think those things. When you can feel and think those things and allow them to be in the present moment, there's no longer need for hate. There's no longer any need for anger. There's no longer any need for resentment. You become the truest, purest version of yourself that lives in acceptance. And much of the chart that I do teachings on my channel, as per the David Hawkins book, Letting Go, I'll bring it up right here for you to look at. When you start to reach into states of inner love, love for yourself, love for wanting to distribute information to the world, in the form of being someone who's helping others or providing a service, as per the passion, I'm going to help you discover your passion here on the channel. The sense of love, everything that's below it on the chart is already there. You are already living in willingness, the willingness to do the work on yourself, the willingness to help others. The acceptance is already there. You are somebody who accepts. You walk by that girl or man, attractive person that was really nice to you yesterday and wasn't nice today. It's not an identity. It's not something that creates how you feel about yourself. And you allow them to just be who they are, living in an unconscious way. You don't try to control that. That's acceptance. And the courage. The courage to be able to move away from pride and your way being the only way. Even when you're proven wrong, you have the courage to admit to the other party or person that maybe I was wrong in that situation and I like your point of view on it. So you have the courage to tell that person, thank you for the information, for smartening me up to it. See, these are all elevated states. Also, neutrality. You see me use a lot in my relationships videos. I believe the state of neutrality is the best when it comes to being the most empowered version of you, the one that you have discovered through a lot of my content, the relationship videos. It's the being good either way. It's one of the strongest sentences I've acquired in telling myself, in growing as a spiritual being here on YouTube. and in person. Because the way I am on here is the way I am in person. There is no difference. And there is no ego. Becoming bigger than the ego self is becoming aware of the pattern. And that there is a pattern there that is keeping you attached to the past. That is keeping you attached to the negative thinking mind, the analytical mind that wants us to stay in survival. It all leads back to autopilot. And when you start to elevate your level of consciousness, consciousness allows yourself to think. But when you're living in lower energetic frequencies, like around anger and pride, it's very difficult to move up to the courage to become better. But there has to be some negative event or something really bad to happen, or you starting to bring awareness to these automatic patterns in your life for you to want to make a change and start your own spiritual journey. In our field, we would probably call that a spiritual awakening. And many people have that. It could be a hurtful relationship. Just somebody who came into their life to reflect the same energy that their parents used to project onto them, which became a temperament through the child and parent dynamic that we gone through back in the day. And we carried that into adulthood. You become aware of that program and you bring awareness to it. You become a more conscious being that is living in awareness. And that's how you are able to start to do the work on yourself. It's not by needing meditation. It's not by needing guided meditations. What those do is it gets us to escape our own reality that's going on in our mind and listen to someone else tell us how we're supposed to feel. And I'm not against guided meditations. You guys know it's part of what I do here on the channel. It's to teach people how great meditation is. And you know, I'm very open. I love meditation and I love creating them. But there has to come a time where you're no longer dependent on my meditations for you, where you can do your own in the morning with your own thoughts, your own beliefs, the person you are changing into to create the best self. And that's where you're going to get into states of feeling love, joy, compassion for other people. Especially those that you thought were your enemy. When you're able to overlook the analytical mind that created enemies in our outer environment and bring neutrality to those relationships or the way that the ego, mind, and body wanted you to identify with, that is reaching higher states of consciousness. That is bringing you more into states of love, peace, and becoming a more enlightened and spiritual being. Do you realize you no longer need to hold on to that past thing that created an enemy? It's very, very difficult work to do, but it is possible for you to do. A lot of us teachers on here, we say you need meditation to get that out of the system. You're going into the subconscious mind to do the work on yourself, and eventually you learn to dissipate those thoughts from the body and mind. But it's more than that. It's being spiritually connected with your spiritual God, your higher self. And he or she will guide you through this life, through this next step you need to take as part of your awakening. And you become the conscious being that is aware of the old ego self that wants to control your body. And that's where you put an end to it. Because that control that your mind had over you That's what's stopping you from growing as an individual. That's keeping you in the comfortable. That's keeping you in the known. And when you are able to step into the unknown and things that are not comfortable, finding peace in those that you thought were enemy, that's where you start to grow as a spiritual human being that is willing to live in peace. And the more peace you feel for yourself, the more that you're going to project that onto your projects. The creating the best self, the thing, the business, the person you are becoming. And you can apply that on your thing, on your trades. And you're willing to give help, love, joy, peace, help others without the sake of needing anything in return. You need nothing in return in this state. I preach that time and time again. My love for this type of work is what I am distributing without the need of anything in return. And you can reach that state as well, the more that you do work. It's not by reading the perfect book. It's not by listening to thousands of podcasts or watching 50,000 YouTube videos every day. It's about the person you are becoming. And you learn who you are at your core. Was not the person that was living in that program for the amount of time you've been stuck in that program. And this last thing that just happened to you, that was the last straw. And there's a reason you're on the channel, you made it this far. You've had enough of living in autopilot and being controlled by the ego mind. And to reach higher states of consciousness, you don't control the mind. You don't control the feelings. And when you have feelings towards people who hurt you, you can allow them to be there and know that they're not you. It's a completely different way of living. When I discovered it for myself, I didn't know this type of living existed. But there's no way I would ever go back to the old way of thinking and being. Because when you are being, you are who you were meant to be at your core. Before all of the autopilot programming was learned throughout your life. And then you are able to distribute that and share that love, share that energy, the type of energy I project in my videos, the type of flow state I enter, that I'm being guided by my spiritual guide. I like to call my higher self. Try out my higher self meditation. These are all different things you could have for yourself as well. And when you learn that your spiritual journey to greatness is not dependent on being able to control the mind, you learn to let go. Let go of that thought. Let go of that man or woman that didn't acknowledge you when you walked by them, but they were nice to you yesterday. Let go of that man or girl you really like that didn't want to text you back. You let go of that divorce that happened to you years ago that you're still holding on to, that still creates an identity for you. You let go of the crappy treatment that you may have gotten from your parents when you were a child, if you were abused. You learn to let go and become greater than all those things. And you allow your spiritual guide to help you through those things, to do the work on them, to become the best you, to become who you were meant to be at your core. And then you teach others how to do this type of work on themselves. And that's where you will start to feel even more love for your life. Is we become servants. We become teachers, if you want to call it that. You're capable of anything, and I know you have it within you. There's a reason that my type of content resonates with you. Is that you're doing a lot of this inner work already. And you have a general idea about what books to read, what meditations to try. Yes, that's all working. It's all good and fine. But when you really learn to step into the real version of you, you no longer need to control the thoughts, and you no longer need to depend on this particular guided meditation every day. If it works for you and it worked to help you elevate your game and your level, good, keep doing it. But there has to be a point in life where you let go of that guided meditation that helped you transform. And here on the channel, I'm here to help you reach those states of consciousness, to elevate your inner vibration to that of a person that's no longer living in anger and pride. And we are going to continue to do the work on it in every video, in everything that I share everywhere with people in person, in video. We are going to continue to do the work. I thank you for watching this one. And I'm going to attach at the end of the video a very key video I made on starting to include what you are talented at doing as part of your life, even making it a full time. You can watch that right here.